Welcome back to another episode of Locked In. Tonight, I'm joined by Rev, and we're going to be looking at Ohio State's big prospect, Jeremiah Smith, youngest Ohio State Buckeye to ever lose his black stripe off his helmet so early in spring practice. So, this guy is coming out of spring camp looking to be the next great, if not all time, receiver in football in general. I mean, this guy's supposed to be, the next greatest thing that's walked on a football field. So, I mean, high hopes out of the Ohio State camp. With spring ever so approaching for their spring game, you should get to see a lot more of Jeremiah Smith in the upcoming weeks. Rev, anything to say before we get into this film?
Obviously, this guy is a very it was just a big time recruit that everybody wanted. I mean, I'm sure his offer list was probably off the charts. I know coming down the stretch, obviously he was committed to Ohio State for a long time. Stayed with Ohio State. Ohio State has the best receivers coach in the country for recruiting, and then also just preparing guys for the NFL and Brian Hartline. So as long as he's there, the pipeline for receivers at Ohio State will continue. This guy just he has a chance to be one of, if not the best guy coming out of here, just from watching a little bit of this high school film. So we can go ahead and get into it. You can just see a difference that he already looks like a number one wide receiver on a college roster. And in this film, you're going to watch a couple plays are the East West All Star game. So all three, mainly 4 or 5 star recruits who big time players going to big time places, and you will just see a difference of him versus who he's up against. And then the rest of the film is him in high school. I think it's supposed to be like the title of this video is a 2023 highlight, and he's from Florida. So I mean, he's playing very good talent, really fast guys who are sought after. I mean, there's a reason why Florida is a hotbed for recruiting, along with California, Texas, and Georgia. So when you see the competition he's up against, it's not like he's playing a bunch of slouches. Now he makes them look silly, and some of them aren't great, but in general, DB play down in Florida is better than a lot of states. He's not. I mean, he's not playing against scrubs, and yet he looks just a head above the rest of them. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And just from the onset here, uh, first play in the East West game, you just see his number 4, the breakaway speed, just the burst that he comes out with from the start of this play.
Yeah, very explosive off the jump, beating that press in man coverage. So, I mean, it's not like he's going up against just nobody. I mean, these are the top recruits in the nation that he's playing against and with. So, I mean, I think it says a lot with this press and just beating it and, I mean, absolutely smoking that guy.
Now the safety there, the way that press was set, I think that cornerback thought he had safety help and he didn't, and he took the inside route and got him. And then this is just he's been given a ton of space. They have these guys playing way back. It was right before halftime, so they're playing prevent there. That was just a good play in space for just to look at what he can do.
Yeah, getting into his regular, high
Mm,
school highlight tape, though, like, you can see his speed. And, I mean,
the man can run.
if he's not 6'4", he's a high 6'3". He's a big dude, almost about 225. I mean, he's huge, and he looks huge in the Ohio State camp right now. If there's any pictures out of him that anybody saw, and he's a big guy, so he can go get balls. Got huge hands, so I mean, any of them one-handed catches, they're easy for him. Great possession guy. He's fast. I mean, he kind of reminds me a lot of Julio when
Mm.
you saw
Does.
Julio up.
I want to just stop in this play for a second. Look at where they have 2 safeties on the other side of the field, concerned about the running back, 2 receivers. But on this side, we got a safety over top, and we got a corner down low. We got a receiver behind him playing stack. But this guy is 20 yards almost off of Jeremiah Smith. And you will see him first blow by the corner, and the corner's playing up on the second guy, and then just run right by the safety as if he wasn't even there. You could just see the get off of the ball is what is so impressive to me. Typically, you don't see that for many receivers, especially not in high school. It's just the explosiveness the moment the ball is snapped, and he just takes off like a rocket.
Yeah, I mean, you just see his speed. And then
Contested ball.
yeah, I was gonna say if you're not looking at him with his speed, you're looking at him with his ability to, jump and catch a ball over someone. I mean, this dude is very versatile. If he's not, catching a screen and taking it for 80 yards, you can see him running 80 yards down the field and catching it over somebody's head if he's not wide open already.
Mhm. This film doesn't have a lot of this where he breaks off a route or makes a move off of a route, but this is one early on that does, where he kind of feigns a little hitch here, brings his corner up just a second, and then just blows by him. And corner had no shot after that. I don't know why you're playing man on on Jeremiah Smith, but there's a lot of these clips where he is being manned up on.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know why, because I mean, you can be as contested as possible, and he can have a terrible throw thrown to him. It doesn't matter. You can have three guys right there. It really doesn't matter. I said this
Yeah.
guy's gonna catch balls.
We got a guy playing press up. We got an outside backer slash like nickel playing that outside. He is mainly focused on Jeremiah Smith. He's trying to take that slant away, trying to take a dig away, and then you have a free safety who's playing off to this side because he is more concerned with what this guy's doing over here. And you'll see he just runs straight to the corner, right in the gap. Quarterback trusting to make a play with three guys around him, and he does.
Yeah, his release is also really refined. Whenever he releases with his first few steps, not only is he just explosive, the
Moss.
way he can get a defender to go inside or outside, whichever one Jeremiah wants him to do, and just control the defender. That's something you don't see until, later on in a wide receiver's career. So I mean that was a trick play. I mean he's wide open on that one, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he usually is wide open, so I mean hard to tell. Yeah, look at that outside release though. That just
Yep.
creating that separation just because of his release right there, breaking inside with his first few steps, and then just exploding outside and getting vertical to the sideline. I mean, that is something you'll see a lot at Ohio State because I mean you saw with Marv against Michigan a lot this year and just throughout the season. So I mean, I expect to see this same route being ran hundreds of times.
That one step makes that DB open up that left foot back a little bit, thinking that hey, he's going to cross in front of my face, and just that little extra step and the threat that he creates with it allows him to then pivot to the outside, get that outside release, and the corner has to turn his body more around to the other side to defend him. So when it comes to just running down straight, he's going to have a step on him. The DB does a good job of trying to recover, but going against a guy like this, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'd really like to see what he does against some of the elite defenders in college, and I'm sure we'll see him against
Mm.
Oregon soon enough, and even Michigan.
I just love the way that he takes off and he is just full speed freight train down the field until it's time for him to catch a ball, and then he looks over, he has late hands, I mean, which is another good thing. But
He, he
you're
settles really well. He comes
he
back to his
does.
quarterback and gets
That was a good
open.
throw too. That was a heck of a play by both parties there. He's just kind of one of those. He's a force of
He-
nature player.
he's a complete,
Yeah,
freak. I mean that's all you can really say. He is a complete freak. Um,
we have a rare across the middle throw for him. Normally he's just blazing on the edge, but that was nice to see him break off. His break is really crisp, right across the field, catch and stride and run to green grass. So I mean, he's he's an impressive guy, one hundred
yeah,
percent.
I think his explosiveness helps him out a lot, not only with his release, but being able to explode up and catch some high balls when he has to jump for them. So I really think that will give him an edge over a lot of people, especially being a freshman. I know he's going to have to start at Ohio State. So just his athleticism will take him so far just because his athleticism is, yeah, it's literally freakish. Like
Yeah,
I don't know how else to describe. Like he is built as a freak, and I mean I'd like to see. I can't wait to see Will Johnson and him go at it this year. Like we saw Marv and Will Johnson last year. That one was
Yeah,
the one you wanted to point out earlier. Climbing the ladder out there.
yeah, that was just impressive. Him, just where he gets to, puts both hands up on the ball, comes down, brings that ball down, and comes down with 2 feet in the end zone at the back of it, in stride after jumping up and climbing the ladder for it. So, I mean, he's a freak athlete, and we were talking about, we were watching this film for the first time. It's like, hey, if this guy were just to forego college, let's just say that he did, and he entered in the draft, like, are you picking this guy first round? And Chance and I were both like, yes. He looks like a NFL caliber guy with just his build. Obviously, he's got more room to grow. He's got more room to refine his talent. He will be at Ohio State among a lot of great receivers with a great receivers coach. But when you just watch his high school film, he does not look like a high school football player.
Yeah, I
And
mean, his route tree is probably the only thing you could say. He
yes,
doesn't really have a versatile route tree. But I mean, neither did DK Metcalf. And I mean,
yep.
look at DK. I mean, this guy, if not, is better built and is more of a freak than DK. He's daggone close to it. And I'd say he's more refined than DK in just the little things that he does, whether it be his release and his steps. I'd say his route tree was about the same as DK when DK was going into the NFL. So I really expect them, Ohio State receivers coaches and Ron Day and Chip Kelly to really get this guy refined and probably by the start of the season.
Yeah, a couple of these plays here near the end, we've been able to see him break some routes off or go up in the middle field and kind of settle in space, just some open grass for his quarterback to find him, which does lend to, hey, he can do more than just blaze on the edge. But talking about that route tree, while you would like to see him be able to make some, crazy routes and some crazy moves on people, he doesn't need it. And I think that's the one thing that when you get to the collegiate level, now, I mean, again, he's not playing against any slouches, playing in Florida where he's at. But when you're playing elite talent in college, which he will be going up against, like you got DBs at Michigan, you got great DBs at Oregon, um, some other places too that just depending on who they play. But he's going to have some bigger matchups coming up as he goes into college, and the question will be, can he just blaze on the outside and beat guys deep? I mean, he can beat them. To me, I feel
He can
like,
also block. I
yes, he's
mean,
just a freight train. He can beat them in a one-on-one for contested balls. I feel like there's very few guys who are going to be able to best him at that. But having more routes available to him that he runs really well and crisp would only benefit him more when he's up against some, elite tier cornerback or an elite tier safety who's over top of him, which he's only going to see. He's not going to see a ton, but he will see more of. Obviously, playing in college, you're going to have better talent that you're playing against. But to me, as long as he stays on track, and his track right now is absolutely incredible, there's nothing you can say about him other than just glowing things.
yeah. So he's really a generational talent in my opinion. And I cannot wait to see him and what he does this year. I really think it'll be special, and it probably will be up until he's done with his career, barring injuries and the hand of God. So I mean, this guy's really special, and it's a good thing to see in football. He is a true X receiver, out wide, and his route tree doesn't really need to be that refined, at least now, because I mean his main things are going to be vertical routes, digs, post, maybe even a crosser here and there. But I could really see him being utilized in a lot of screens
Hmm.
and like comebacks just because his possession is so good, a lot of third down usage. So I mean, high hopes for this guy. I know out of camp, very high words being spoken about him. So, I really can't wait to see it. Anything you'd like to add before we close out, Rev?
This is obviously a huge get. I mean, everybody wanted him, like we talked about in the opener, and as you can see, just watching the film, I mean, he's a stud, and he has a combination of a couple guys even this year. Like one of the ones that just body type wise, he looks like Keon Coleman. Like he's built, he's big. He can, I mean, his 40 time is better than Keon's, I'm sure, but he can go up and get that ball that a lot of other guys can't get. And that kind of reminds me of him. But then he also has just more speed, and that's going to improve, and just his agility and his ability to cut on routes is going to get better working at Ohio State. So this guy has all the talent in the world. He's got everything in front of him. And while I might not be the biggest Ohio State fan, I am very much looking forward to watching Jeremiah Smith tear it up in college.
Yeah. Um, with that being said, though, for me and Rev here, stay locked in, everyone.